G'day, I'm Tony Fountain and welcome to the Drovers Journal Online. I've got with me today, this is a special sort of moment for me because I've got a lady here, Mrs. Vi Hawkins, who was Vi McLarty, who's pretty much royalty in the Shorthorn game. Their family have been breeding Shorthorns or Pole Shorthorns since 1874. Vi herself is a life member of the society, sharp as a tack, knows what's going on, and so I've nailed her here in the beautiful Pavilion Motel in Wagga, just to chew the fat and talk a bit about Shorthorns, and nothing controversial because I'll get into trouble if I do that. But Vi, thank you very much for doing this.
Pleasure, Tony.
Pleasure, she says. Pleasure. Look, I just sort of in awe of your family's achievements. You know, when that's 140 years ago you've been.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, and Lone Pine's still going. You sold the stud a couple of years ago to Gerald and Lyndon Spry.
Yes.
They've actually got a very good Lone Pine prefixed bull in their sale on the 22nd of April.
I've yet to see him, Tony, but I'll see him before the sale.
Oh, no, he's a good bull. And Lone Pine is still a separate entity in its own right, so we're still talking 140 years. So I guess my memories of the times over the years, and I didn't get that frequently to Silver Pines, but they were just solid, honest cattle. So you tell us a bit about Lone Pine.
Well, yes, they were, Tony, and I guess for today's standards they may have had a bit of size in them when we're all looking to sort of, you know, get a bit smaller and a bit more compact. But I think that riverina country really suited the Shorthorn cattle, not only the Shorthorn cattle but the merino sheep as well.
Yeah.
It's an incredible place.
Yeah.
And I realise so much more since I've moved away.
Yes.
Your animal husbandry is half.
Yeah, you tend to take things for granted when you're actually there, don't you?
Exactly.
But you're right. I mean, we were just discussing a few minutes ago. You look back at the merino studs that used to run Shorthorn cattle.
Yes.
You know, your Silver Pines, Gould Gumbler, Haddon Rig, Eagle Labra. I mean, they're not Riverina, but they're all plains country cattle.
They are.
Yep.
And they went together.
Yeah. And so, what was, I suppose it's obviously economics come into why you bred Shorthorn cattle out there, but they just went out and produced for you, didn't they?
They did, and I think in those early days the Shorthorn cattle was very much to the fore.
Yep.
In those early days of when people came and settled that country.
Yep. Yeah.
Whereas now you've got many other breeds that have come in.
Yep.
So there's lots of comparisons, there's
Yep.
lots of choice.
Yep.
And like everything, you can turn people's heads very quickly.
No, it was just talking about the older days. I mean, when you and I were youngsters, but reading the letters in there that you've kindly given me for research on the book and written in 1910, just the way they were written and the esteem, I suppose that's the right word, that the McLarty family were held in, you know, as pastoralists.
Yes, I've got quite a few letters of which I will allow you to have a look at some stage when you revisit me.
Yes.
Because they did send cattle up into Queensland, and there's quite a few letters. And they went by train, of course.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, Lone Pine used to send bulls to that Centralian sale at one stage, didn't they? I think, yeah. I think I remember reading in a pastoral review, or fellow Frank Johnson used to publish a magazine called The Shorthorn.
Yes, and I think I might have been too young to remember all that.
Hang on. No, but I mean, it's just, they've just got a great reputation for doing what Shorthorns do, which is going out and making it happen, isn't it?
Yes.
So you must have had a wonderful life growing up out there at Bundoora.
We loved it out there. You know, the country is as flat as flat. It drops 1 inch in 100 miles, which is pretty flat, and we loved it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess the cattle did well. They walked, which made them fit, grow.
Yeah. But I think today people tend to get too scientific on things.
Yes.
Like you say, the cattle, they walked and they grew and they ate, and that was how it was done.
Yes.
And I look at today and I often wonder, every time a blade of grass, I know economic pressures are still there, but every time a blade of grass comes up, you've got to eat it, whereas your fathers and grandfathers' generation were pastoralists and they let it go to seed. And
they did.
Yeah, and sort of, I sense they had probably get me into trouble with people watching, but they had a lot more affinity with the land for the land. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think we've, in many cases, we've lost our affinity with the land.
Yeah.
I think by pure economics, and we're all trying to make a living and keep it going. So therefore, you try and do it harder.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you just digressing a little bit, talking on the land, because Keith, Charles, your late husband, grew up at Finley with his brother Keith in the Springfield stud. So you would have had some interesting discussions on cattle at night between Pole Herefords.
We did.
Yeah. Gee, they had a top herd out there at Springfield.
Well, he was always a Pole Hereford man, and I was the Shorthorn. So
yeah. Cook your own breakfast.
A few arguments took place.
No, it's great. I mean, yeah, there's some wonderful years there. Well, look, Vi, thank you so much for this. I know we've sort of skirted around a few things, but I just really do appreciate it. And whilst I'm no longer on the board, I know from the breeds' point of view, we owe you and your family a big debt for what you've done over that 140 years, and I hope we keep to enjoy Shorthorns together.
Thank you, Tony.
That's it, right. Okay, folks, so bear in mind there'll be more information later from on the Lone Pine Herd and the McLarty family's involvement with it. Absolutely, 140 years, that's a long while. And they're still going. So thanks very much for being part of us. Keep reading the Drover's Journal and stay in touch. See ya.